Hi, Cristelle. Thank you so much for joining me this morning to have a bit of a chat about our open house experiences. And I'm really interested to hear about your experience. I come from Worthing Speakers, so we're down on the seaside in Sussex, and we're a very different club to your home club. So please tell me a bit about yourself to start with and your experience as a Toastmaster.
So first, thank you so much, Amy, for having me. I'm so delighted to be speaking with you today and talking about Toastmaster open houses. I'm a member of City of London Toastmasters Club, and I have been a member of that club for about 4 or 5 years. I think 4 years. And I I love this club. It's right in the center of the city in East London. So it's like the border between the city and Shoreditch. So we have an amazing type of community and members, which crosses like guys in suits and people that are a lot more casual, startup like, working for charities. So we have an amazing, vibrant mix of members.
Fantastic. Sounds exciting. I might have to come and experience a meeting. So tell us a bit about your experience with open house events, how many you've been involved in, and have you done them online and offline as well?
Yeah, so I think it was so in 2018, 2019, I was president of the club. And we had about, let me just check my numbers because I don't want to mislead people. We had 56 paid members when I was president.
Oh,
And we had a challenge by the district to run our first open houses. And we were going to be given a £50 budget to buy pizzas. And our meetings were and are still on Tuesday evenings after a long day at work. So our meetings at 6:30 until 9, and we usually go to the pub. So if you're not eating before you go to the meeting, it's usually that you won't have food on Tuesday night. So the incentive of the pizza was definitely something that we knew our members wanted. And we wanted to push the boundaries and see how many more people we could bring to Toastmasters. So we run a physical open house. We normally meet in a church, a beautiful big church. And we thought, how amazing would it be to fill this church with people who want to improve their public speaking? So we run a successful open house with 100 people turning up. Let me just actually show you a picture because I think it's always nice to see that this is not a lie. So this was everyone in our church. Obviously, some people had already left, but you can see that we did that in person. And then we did one more recently. I'm secretary at the club at the moment this year, and I'm also assistant area director. Um, and so this year we decided to go online, and we also had 100 attendees for our online open house.
awesome. That's fantastic. What what did you find vital in the marketing to get that many people coming along, especially?
So I think we have amazing vice president of PR who knows that exactly that you need to create the Eventbrite page really early on. So definitely, if you need to do one thing first is set an Eventbrite page a month before your event, and also don't limit your numbers of tickets. Right. So I know that, if you're doing it online, you might have the limitation of having 100 Zoom attendees, but by paying, I think we paid £40 for 1 month. You pay £40 and it expands to 500 members that can be on a Zoom call, and that's for a single month. So if you have that budget by the district, or if you have spare budget, you can easily increase the number of attendees you can have on Zoom. And basically, the algorithm on Eventbrite, because it's a free event, because it's educational and for professional, because it's free, and if you're putting 400 or 500 tickets, the algorithm will show your events a lot more on their homepage. So organically, you're going to drive a lot more traffic, which is a great way. And that's what really helped us when we were on our physical event, to drive people to the church. And we also did a lot of Facebook advertising. So both in 2019 and this year, our VPPRs have invested really small amounts. I think it's been like £30 or something like this. And being able to see thousands of people see our ad and we've always targeted people who didn't know Toastmasters. So people who had an interest in public speaking, an interest in leadership, an interest in, you know, being better communicators. But we wanted to bring people that didn't know what Toastmasters was about, because I think that's what our club is about. You know, we're not traditional Toastmasters in the sense that we don't always follow the rule. We're a little bit more chilled and flexible.
Rebels.
Yeah. And we want people to also feel like there's not one way to do public speaking, and everyone should come as they are. And I think when people have no Toastmasters experience and they come into our meeting, it's like a bit of a hybrid. It's not too big of a gap, like, oh wow, I'm entering something like that is super well regimented and structured. With us, it's a little bit like the in-between club.
Oh, I like that. We're not, I think this is the thing, we're not all polishing members up to be like a replication of some higher person. We're all here to sort of enhance our own unique speaking ability and come across as amazing individuals. I love that. So you spoke a bit there about Eventbrite, and I find that really interesting. There's definitely some tips I'll be taking back there. So Eventbrite is definitely then the most successful method you use, do you think? Okay.
Yeah, definitely, because you have the location, you're able to use those tags. If you know, what we did is in the first meeting, like the first open house in 2019, vice president of membership had created YouTube videos, and we used those YouTube videos that we embedded in the Eventbrite page as well. So it was really about showing what the person attending could get. And I think it was really engaging because they could see the people that they were going to meet. So I think making it really personable. I think there's so many channels that one can use, but I think it's more important to just focus on doing fewer but better rather than doing more and average. But that's
or diluting, doing too many and just diluting the quality. And the personal, what you're saying about the personal, I think that is definitely something Worthing has seen, is the personal, the pictures of video. And during the webinar, I'll show Toby's video that he did was literally filmed in his house of like, come have a virtual couple with us. And I think it's also about taking the stigma away, isn't it? Like, oh gosh, this is going to be scary, public speaking. And one of my bugbears is don't use the word scary, don't use the word fear, talk about confidence, make it personal so that they feel it's achievable to come along and improve themselves. So you've obviously got this beautiful church setting, and what did you do with the agenda there? Well, how did you make it different to what a regular meeting would be for the guests?
Yeah, and I love this because usually we think, oh, it's an open house. Either it has to be exactly the same as normal, or it has to be completely different. And I think we went into a midway approach. What we made sure is that in the in-person event, the table topic we did, I remember it was really fun because we had like 100 people. So I think, if I remember well, and that's only 3 years ago, but we got one person to stand up at a time and complete an entire story. So it went throughout the entire church, and it meant that everyone stood up and spoke. And I remember that this was really powerful because those people were not expecting right from the get-go to be standing and speaking up. So I think that was really fun. We allowed for a bigger break. So we had pizzas and drinks, non-alcoholic drinks. We always go to the pub after, but that's what we call like a third part of the meeting. But during the meeting, we keep it quite like soft. So we wanted people to engage with other members, with other guests. So we made sure that we had a bigger gap for everyone to grab a slice and have a conversation. And we really chose every person that was speaking on the day. So we made sure that, you know, our Toastmasters was one of our most advanced speakers. We made sure that we had people that were guiding that were advanced in their craft. But when we did the speeches, we had 3 speeches and we had 1 icebreaker, because it was really important for us to show this could be you, like this could be your first speech. And this person is taking that step, and we want you to know that you're next, basically. And we had 2 other speakers one person that had been in the club for about 2 years and one person that had been in the club for 10 years. So we wanted them to see this could be your journey, and staying with us or joining us will give you that growth and that leadership capabilities and skills that you might be looking to gain. And then we went to the pub, and it was actually surprising. Like, we brought so many people to the pub. They were just like, what is going on?
Well, the staff must have been overwhelmed. That's great. I think it's sort of, what about conversions? Because this is something my experience of the open house is it's more than just this one-off event that you sort of walk away from and go, oh, we did that. It's, you need to sort of think about how it went and the follow-up, how you're going to manage that, especially for yourself having that many guests come along. That's quite a lot of people to follow up with. So what kind of conversions have you seen out directly or indirectly from the open house events?
So the in-person event, as I mentioned, we had 100 attendees and we converted 10 people. And what I found, I was president at the time, and it was quite funny because, sometimes you go to your first Toastmaster meeting and then you wait 6 months and then you come back again.
Yeah.
For the second
I did that.
And we had so many people come back even after when I was not president, and they were like, oh, I saw you were president at the time. It was the open house. And, they might join like a year after, but I'm sure that it was not just those 10 members that we won right there and then within that same month. It's really like, I think we have been in the last 3 years being able to bring people back, surprisingly, from that one event. And for our online events, our president Olga this year put on an amazing show. And I think it was about 2.5 hours. So it was quite impressive that, about nearly 100 people turned up. And by the end of the call, which was like after 2.5 hours, we still had 60 people on the call. And at the end, we were like, okay, we're closing down now. Like, this is over, but everyone was still there, which was really impressive. And we converted 6 members, and that was about a month ago.
That's fantastic. So it's a good conversion rate. And I think what we have to look at, and this is why the district funds them, is when you invest in an open house, yes, you want to show off your own club, but it's really about owning the fact that we're ambassadors of Toastmasters, and you have to expect that members might come and they might see your marketing, but your club doesn't work for them. The time might not work. They might decide they want to try a few other clubs, and you have to really be willing to know that if you're sharing potential members around, then other clubs should. And it's all about, if we're all ambassadors for Toastmasters, it's all going to help every club in the long term, rather than focusing on they're my guests, they're my potential members.
And I really want to tag on that, what you just said. We knew that we knew we could attract 100 guests. Like, we set a big goal, and we were let's not limit ourselves to Zoom restriction. Like, let's go big. Let's hope we can get 500 members. Like, honestly, if I can get like 500 guests on this webinar, I think that would be like a huge success for Toastmasters, not for our club. But what we said at the end is, if you're interested, please, like, there are 70 clubs in London. There are clubs everywhere you are in the world. If you're learning a new language, you might want to go and visit a club in Italy, for example, or, in Australia, in Japan. Everything is possible right now. So for us, it was important that those guests were not ours. Those guests we just wanted them to have that spark that we all had before we joined Toastmaster.
Yes, exactly. And wrapping up, what would you, in planning another event, what are some things you definitely would want to trial or change to see what different engagement or reaction you get?
Yeah, so I think if I compare the in-person and the online event, the big difference was we knew we couldn't do table topics online. We couldn't give a forum for everyone to speak, because it's either you have the members who speak or you have everyone who speaks. I didn't like the idea of just having like 5 guests speaking, because it's going to be the people that are more likely to be confident. And for me, it was really, and for everyone in our club, we were debating it. for quite a while, which was like, do we give everyone the ability to speak? And online, it's just not possible. Like unmuting, muting, it's just not doable. So I think finding that engagement so that everyone can speak, I think is really important. So I'm sure like there's a lot of really smart people in the room listening to this. So if you have great ideas on how to drive engagement online to get everyone to collaborate and contribute, I think that's the one thing that we could look at for the next online one. But the next in person, I just can't wait. Like I can't imagine that this will happen. But the idea of just networking, meeting people, being able to see a whole person's body language. I think I'm going to be blown away the day that this happened, and I'll make sure that we are running across the stage and we're running like, you know, we're leveraging the entire space, because I feel we've been so confined to our little box.
Yes. You wonder what some of the new members do. You think, I wonder how tall they are.
Yeah.
Because who knows?
I think, yeah, we would have to do like some I don't know, spatial exercise in the next, you know, open house, if it's in person, you know, how to use your space that you have not used for about a year.
Yes. I actually have a tip here for you in regards to the sort of creating that intimacy for and trying to get the guests engaged. And it would probably involve having to have quite a lot of breakout rooms, but that's what we did at Worthing. So we put 2, 3, 4 people in breakout rooms with very specific members. And that's how we sort of handled that, trying to create that intimacy back in meetings. And we've actually taken that into our regular club meetings now. So we do it almost every meeting. We had our contest last night, so we didn't do it for that, but that is how we're trying to get the intimacy back. So it could be an idea, but it would obviously, in a London club where you have the scale to get that kind of number in, it would be a little bit more logistic heavy, but it could work for an online.
I love that. Yeah, I think it's a brilliant idea. I think because now it feels less, especially if you had your contest yesterday, like you don't see people's facial expression to your speech. Like it's one of the hardest thing. And I do think this ability to create still like small conversation, like small mini networking, and just being able to speak with people regardless and engage with them regardless of the size of the audience, I think is really critical.
Yes, finding some intimacy amongst the perfect. Well, it's been so interesting talking to you and hearing about your experience with open houses, and I think it's going to really give members a flavour of what a coastal, more rural club compared to a London club can do. And I think it's also really important that they see that you can get those conversions on the night, but you're creating like a funnel, aren't you? When we talk about marketing, we talk about we're funneling those people in. You should have their email addresses. They should be getting newsletters, follow up. And just because they won't be a member on the day doesn't mean in 2 years' time they won't show up and say, as you said, oh, I remember when you were president and I came along. And eventually they'll be a Toastmaster.
I completely agree. And I think each of their own time. I think it's just our job, you know, like it's Olga, our president's job, it's our committee team's job, director's job to just get that spark. It's all about that little spark. And I think if there's one thing that I would say is just when you're thinking about doing an open house, set a big goal. Like, don't limit yourself. I think sometimes we're like, oh, okay, well, maybe we'll have 50 people come. No, like go big, like go bold. You know, we had 56 paid members. And if each member brought one guest, we had over 100 attendees already. So I think with online, there's no limitation. You can really, like with a £30 budget on Facebook, you can really go a long way. And I think what we found, and that's what one of our members said, which really was one of the most beautiful thing after that open house, the online one that was organized. They said it reignited my passion for Toastmasters. Seeing all of these guests turn up, seeing the excitement around Toastmasters, seeing what we can put up as a show, you know, the show that we've been able to put on for people to share our passion with. I think that was key. So it's not just for your club, it's not just for your area, it's not just for the guest, it's also for your members, for
Yes,
them to feel
100%.
proud to be part of that club.
And you can do so many good pathways projects for them as well, can't you? So that it's all, don't waste an opportunity to get a tick in the box for pathways, that's for sure. But the same, what you're saying about, reignited a member's energy. We had one of the members was like, wow, that was amazing. When are we doing it again? And she's a member who, she probably accelerated quickly in, so got a level 1 done fast and did roles quickly. And then she sort of slowed right down. And she works in frontline services, so the pandemic is a nightmare for her. But the fact that it sort of really made her re-energized was fantastic. And she's the same now. She's like, oh, I want to do one in person. I can't wait. And yeah, new energy into the members is, it's part of what retains them, isn't it? To keep everyone excited.
And I think one thing, just to tag on what you said, that person, she could be the next person organizing your open house. So
100%.
what we found is, like, an open house is not run by one person. Like,
No.
it's a real team effort. And that's where the strength of the community team comes together. Like, for the open house, the online one, it was amazing to see our VP PR, VP of membership, our president, everyone, like our treasurer, being like, okay, you can be creative with this, with this pot of money that we still have on the account. So, everyone really came together under Olga's leadership to drive such a successful event. And if you're seeing some of these members that were really active, have high potential, it's your job as a leader to give them that opportunity so that they can run it and they can put on that show next and inspire the next generation of people to step up and do it.